Ready to go.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to replace the fuel lines on a Ryobi blower. Now if you got the weed eater, it's the same exact job, and it's really easy. Decided to make this because I see so many videos about people doing it the hard way, and there really is an easy way. So, all you new people out there, go ahead and subscribe. And let's get started. Okay, let's get started. Now the first thing I did was drain the gas, and if you look inside this one in particular, you can see there's just all sorts of creative things in the bottom of this gas tank. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the gas tank out first, and then we'll get started. He told me that it wasn't running well and it leaked gas. So we're going to go ahead and do the fuel lines, and we'll replace the carb while we're at it. We're going to focus on fuel lines first. That's an 8mm on this one. I'm using a 5/16 and it works okay. But it's a little loose, so I wouldn't use it to finish the tightening or anything like that. Okay, let's go ahead and pull the carburetor off. Now, since we know we're replacing the fuel lines, we're going to be a little bit rough on the fuel lines. And we made a note that this one is the return line. Let's take the linkage off. There we go. And that's a little different on every single engine. Now this is the carb that came off. It's a H66. This one's an H60. And the only difference is, on this side, we've got an auto release for the choke. So when you hit the gas, the choke lets go automatically. And plus it's got a better, it doesn't have a plastic bar, it's got a metal bar coming across. So we're going to use this carburetor when we're done. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get these old fuel lines out of the way. I'll cut the tops off. I actually watched a video from a very big popular YouTuber just this morning about doing fuel lines. Of course, a lot of fuel line ones come up. A lot of two-strokes, I should say, come up on mine because I put up so many two-stroke videos. And he worked so hard. He had a 45-minute video doing this. I said, how does he have almost 400,000 subscribers? Or why don't I have 400,000 subscribers? But I ramble. Let's get back to the fuel lines. There's one. And since this was our return line last time, I'll make it our return line again. Put them in the same place they were. Now we'll cut that little taper off that we made. And say, how far do we need to go for the carburetor? Let's say here. And notice we just cut the end off because the return line only just dumps fuel back in the tank, so you don't care. Now we're going to do it again. Notice we cut a taper on this one, we cut that one. And we're going to feed our little wire through. And if you buy fuel line for yours, make sure you get the kit that's got this little wire. It is the only way to fly doing fuel lines. I've done hundreds of these, and I've tried umpteen different ways. And when I ran across this, it's been the only way I've done it ever since. I'll carefully grab that and pull it up. Now this one, we're going to go ahead and put the fuel filter on. There we go. And we're going to lay it in the tank, and then we're going to pull this through until it's laying where we want it. I'm going to get the wire out of the way so it doesn't poke me. Okay, buddy. Come on. Now the trick is to get your filter laying in the bottom of the tank. If you take a look here, you can see the filter. Take a look here, you can see the filter's laying in the bottom of the tank. Right there. And that's where you want yours. Anyway, as I was saying, if it's laying in the bottom of the tank, you'll get more use out of it before you run out of gas. So now before we cut this, we're going to go ahead and install a new carburetor. Take a look. Now here's the most important thing. That little hole right there. See this little hole here? You got to make sure that you have matching holes, because that's what you basically your fuel pump. To make a long story short, it's a negative pressure hole, and it pops on the exhaust stroke and moves the diaphragm inside the carburetor. There we go. So if you ever do one of these and it just doesn't want to start, and you just for the life of you can't figure out why, there's a pretty fair chance that you got a carburetor that doesn't match that hole. If you're buying a carburetor, always make sure that you look at the pictures and those holes match. So I don't care how good the carburetor is or how bad it is, it's not going to work if those holes don't match. Oh, so close. There we go. We're halfway in. We're all the way in. Looks good. Okay, now we're going to take our fuel lines. We're going to match them up where they were. And it's pretty easy to make a mistake here. So when you do this, after we've got these fuel lines attached, we're going to go ahead and put some fuel in it before we even put the rest of it back together. And make sure that it's pumping. Now we're going to pump it. You can see the bubbles coming up here. And that tells us the fuel's pumping correctly. We can see the bubbles coming out of our return line. Now let's throw our air filter back on. And we're like almost done. The only thing we have to do that I'm going to do before I sell it is replace the plug. And it's very rare that a spark plug will cause something to not run. But with a two-stroke, it is possible. It's most likely if it runs badly, it could be the plug. If it's not running at all, don't make the plug the first thing you go after. Now, since I'm using a 5/16, I'm going to move over to my 8 for that last little snug. Let's put her on the floor and see if she starts. Okay, let's crank her up and see what we've got. Sounds pretty good. She revs a little slow, so I'm going to open up the high side just a little bit. Okay, the high side is the screw farthest away from the engine. Okay, that sounds pretty good. If you got a Ryobi blower that leaks gas or won't start, that's all there is to it. And we spent about $16 on it, and now it's good to go. And it'll probably last 3 or 4 or 5 more years before it gives anybody any problem again. Now, if you drain the gas before you put it away for the winter, usually you won't have this problem. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.